Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. All my memories gather round her, mindless lady, stranger to the water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me, the radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. Take me home, now country road. Take me home, now country road.
Thank you, Jacob. Family was very important to Coralee. She has many chosen family, people that started as friends, but became family because they chose to love like family. She has a knitting family, a network of people who share a love of yarn and craft. She knit for many years with the Black Sheep Knitting Guild and enjoyed meeting at the local coffee shop for knitting time. And the family she knew the longest, the Battle Creek family, were her dad's relatives. Gina and Jody shared memories of visiting Great-Grandma Martin's tiny house in Battle Creek. She was one of the Leonas, and they visited her at least a couple times per year. The house was memorable because you'd have to walk through the bedroom to get to the bathroom. And once you got to the bathroom, it didn't have a door, only a curtain. Great-Grandma Martin's pies were legendary. Her strawberry rhubarb took the prize. We all have memories of Leona's last pies from the freezer after she passed. Toady enjoyed long phone calls with Aunt Ginny, my grandma. Especially later in life, they talked almost daily on the phone. I knew if my grandma's line was busy, she was probably talking to Toady. Mel Church, my dad, would like to talk and share some memories that he and his twin Marty have of their cousin Toady.
I'm Toady's cousin, and I've always knew her as Toady. Coralee, I didn't know who that was. Maybe when I hit junior high, I finally was told that's not really her name. So my brother couldn't make it today, but he wanted to send love to the family, and he's thinking about you. he wanted to know what time this was going on so he could put his head there. And he wrote a few things. One of the stories was when he said, when we first visited our family in Pontiac, they lived in an old 2-story house right near a ramshackle cemetery, and Toady had her own little room just off the kitchen. And there was barely room to get by a set of bunk beds in there, but she had her own room, which Marty and I always shared our room. We never had one to ourselves, but you know, she was the only girl, so she got that room. And then she had a little TV sitting on a bureau in there, and which was quite unusual for the time. This is back in the 60s, I think. And we went in there once and kind of snuck in, and The Mummy was on, starring Boris Karloff, and we loved monster movies, so we were thrilled. And we thought, oh, she has all this, you know, she had the life. And we didn't think Toady knew we were in there. I don't know where she was, but when she realized we were there, you know, we got thrown out. So we didn't get to see the end of the movie. But I could understand. And then when she did come to visit in Battle Creek, as she stayed with us, she stayed in the spare room, and it was always Toady's room. I mean, that's what we knew it as. But I was young enough, I didn't really remember a lot of her visits, but I was just looking at some home movies, and I could see her. We always had a Easter egg hunt on Easter out at our great-grandma Johnson's house, and Toady was, I don't know, 8, 9, something, and you could see her helping us little bitty tykes find eggs, and you know, she was this skinny little thing in a pink dress, and was in charge of things for us little guys, so she was real nice that way. And then Marty said another thing about one year when his kids were little, they were rained out while going on vacation, and they decided to visit the family in Pontiac, and what began as an overnight visit became a week stay. I mean, Toady and Fred just said, yeah, you know, stay, don't go away, we're having fun. And the kids still remember fondly the movies, eating out and playing with their cool cousins. You know who you are. So Toady just made room for the family and enjoyed all the stories and conversations. And she learned that from Doug and Shirley, my aunt and uncle, and then she passed it on to the girls. You know, I still can't believe that Toady is gone. It really was, even though I knew she was sick, still a surprise. And I'll miss her, and remember, when you have somebody, you know, they may not be with you long, so you better pay attention and love them while you can. I'm looking here for a second. So we always enjoyed going to Uncle Doug and Aunt Shirley's house, Toady's parents. Aunt Shirley was a school cook, and she always overfed us. She could cook so good, and she would just pile it on. That dining room table would be full. It was wonderful. And then she always had like M&Ms and chocolates out in the living room. So, you know, I was in junior high and just picking out all the time on that stuff, and it was always available. So that was really fun. Plus, they were kind, wonderful people, so it was great. And then I had a little bit of the movies I was looking at when Toady was like 12 years old, and I saw her and another cousin about the same age sitting in lawn chairs going, you know, they were bored with it all. But we had all sorts of games at these family reunions, and like pushing a peanut across the lawn, and three-legged races, and prizes. And you know, Toady and her mom and dad would come over and join all that. And we had a real extended family. All my great uncles, Grandma Leona Martin, she had a lot of brothers and sisters, so we had all sorts of aunts and uncles. So, and then I saw you had pictures. I remembered Toady was a ballerina when she was a little girl, which probably doesn't jive with your older memory of Toady, but she was a skinny little thing, and she wanted to be a ballerina. So I thought that was cool. And then another memory I had was when we were 11 or 12, before Toady and Fred were married, they stayed with us while my aunt and uncle and my mom and dad went out to supper and drinks and stuff. And so Toady was nice enough to make some burnt popcorn for us. That was her specialty. I like burnt popcorn, but we usually ended up puking about 1 o'clock in the morning. But I just loved it, you know. So we were watching something on TV, and then Marty had to go in. He wanted to get some water in the kitchen, and he walked in, and it was dark. And then he noticed that Fred and Toady were necking in the kitchen in the dark. I'm not supposed to say necking, but they were kissing, okay? And then we didn't go up there a lot, but I know camping was a big deal at Petwater. And the times we did go up there, we were always welcome. Whether we brought food or not, there was always plenty of food. And you know, they all like to cook around the campfire. And I did stay there a few times. Once I forgot to fly on my tent, so I had to sleep in their van. But you know, everything works out there. So it's a great thing. And I think that's about it. I have very good memories of Toady and her family, and you girls carry on the tradition.
Thank you, Dad. Marty's daughter, Holly, shared a memory of Toady that she asked that I share as well. She said at any family event, the moment I felt awkward, I swear that was exactly when Toady would raise her hand up, wave, and say, "We're over here, Holly, come join us." Always so much love and welcoming from Toady. We will miss that. We have a video now that we'll play. It's a traditional Irish song called "The Parting Glass," about a life well lived. And this is a video from Corwin's choir performance. Coralee's mom's relatives were in Pontiac. You never had to ask what time holidays were celebrated in Pontiac. For every holiday or celebration, dinner is at 2 was set in stone. Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, birthdays, dinner was always at 2. I'm really sorry we couldn't figure out how to make dinner at 2 today. Saturday mornings were special and reserved for getting together for breakfast at Big Boy. Around the big table there'd be Doug and Shirley, Gladys and Harvey, Coralee and Fred, Gina and Jody, Stevie and Vern. After breakfast, the guys would go work on a house project or go work on a car. The ladies would usually go grocery shopping or do something else together. Uncle Roy, Richard, Becky and the kids were still getting together with Toady up until COVID. We'll hear from Richard Cole, the son of Coralee's cousin Stevie.
Hello, everyone. As he spoke, I was part of the Breakfast Club, and had a lot of fond memories throughout my whole younger life, going out to Saturday morning breakfast, and it's just so much to. I'm sorry, but. Coralee Toady, as I know her, she was a very important part of my family as the kids were getting older and growing up, and she was always very interested and loving. I can't speak enough good about Toady and all the things that she did as she was just such a good person. I'm so sorry, you guys. I had a whole speech made up and everything, but I wasn't feeling it, so I'm kind of going off the cuff here. And I just want to really say that those early memories of Toady and my grandma Gladys, Shirley, Doug, everybody, it was just, that's what I hold special in my heart as family. And Toady kept that true throughout the whole time I knew her, and I can't speak enough good about Toady and Shirley, Gladys, Gina, Jody, everybody. I love them so much. They are truly my family deep down inside in my heart. I love them so much. I don't know what to say. I love her and I miss her so greatly. That's what I got right now. I would like to say, though, that all the family dinners that we had for the holidays, as you spoke, they were so special. I look forward to them as a young man. You know, being a kid, you always want to play with your friends and go and, hang out. But when them holidays came around, they were something that I truly looked forward to. Being part of the family, whether it be at Shirley's house or my grandma's house, it was so special and so wholesome. The layout, like you spoke, of food, it was amazing. Between my grandma, Gladys, Shirley, Toady, the stuff that they would prepare, I mean, it wasn't just turkey and for Thanksgiving, it was like turkey and ham and roast beef, and I mean, the kitchen would just be completely filled full of food. And just the experience and the family, the togetherness, it was so special. And I look forward to sharing those same memories and continuing that tradition with Gina and Jody. They, once again, I love you guys so much. I really do. You guys, thank you. Thank you. She really was so special. Recently, we had breakfast, not too long ago. Obviously, Big Boy had closed, and we continue that tradition on. It went from Saturday to now Sunday mornings, but we continue that tradition on into a smaller place that we found, and we would meet up on Sunday mornings and have breakfast with my Uncle Roy and Toady, my family. Gina and Jody would show up too, and it was this tiny little restaurant. We would fill the whole back room full. But it was so special. And yeah, it's just something that I really enjoy. It's something that I look forward to keep the tradition going as well. And I just like to say how special she was to me. She, Toady was just with her, my dad, Steve, and his brother, Vern. They were just the very, I don't even know how to put it. I just know that I'd like to say that she was a very, very special person in my life, and I love her very much. And she raised some beautiful daughters, wonderful people, the best people that you could ever meet, honestly. They truly are. And I just want to, on that note, tell you all, thank you all for showing up. It means a lot to me to see the people that have showed up, and once again, thank you.
Thank you, Rich. This next video is Ode to Joy in front of Mount Rushmore. Coralee loved this song. When Jacob learned to play it on the viola, she would request it whenever she could. In 2014, the Drobots took a road trip to the West Coast, and they recorded this and sent it to Jima to let her know they missed her the many weeks they were gone. Camping has always been major for the family, a big deal for sure. Her camping family has not only continued for many decades, but has grown exponentially. Deborah Dismukes is part of the Pentwater family. The family has camped with Dave and Sharon Streelman and their kids for over 50 years. We'll hear now from Deborah and Sharon.
I said I wasn't going to cry. I'm going to try. All right. We've known Coralee and her family since I was, about 2. And we met them. We call them the Coralees, which is what we call them. The Parks and the Drobots, and everyone's the Coralee. We've known them for about 15 years. We met them, Fred, Coralee, the twins, and their dog D.O.G. at Pentwater. I can't have D.O.G. back then. And yeah, during those years, we've spent lots of time camping, different places, Charlevoix, Platte River, Pentwater. We've been through storms, we've been through hospital visits, trips up Old Baldy, and many campfires and beach days. We also spent summers tubing and climbing up Sleeping Bear Dunes. Memories that we'll always keep. Oh, and eating candy at Cherry Republic. Of course. Coralee was family, a best friend, and she was a camping mom. She's, of course, spent her time at the campfire burning hot dogs and marshmallows until they were pure black. That was the way she liked to eat them. And eating ice cream, watching sunsets, and drinking coffee in the morning with my mom who, what we just said, I don't know how many hours they spent sitting in chairs at Pentwater, drinking coffee and hanging out. She tried to teach my mom to knit over and over through the years. Never quite got it, but you know, she tried and tried. One of the most eventful camping memories we have is the storm of, what year was it? 90, oh, the t-shirts over there, 86, 83. All right, I knew it. When there were really bad straight line winds at Pentwater, there's the t-shirt. And we woke up to our pop-up being like basically lifted off the ground. When it went back down, we looked out of the window, and in the lightning light, we could see that the Andersons' trailer had flipped sideways. So my dad, in his tidy whities, went running out, and then we saw Coralee in her teeny tiny baby doll nightgown, sopping wet, and we got them back in the trailer and spent the night there. And of course, they spent the rest of the trip, was it a week, I think, just in their van. So we'll never forget that memory of Coralee in that tiny nightie. She always was bearing gifts. Every time we saw her after the long winters, she always had a little hot chocolate for us, or a little food, or a little knitting thing, or almost anything. You know, she always thought about people. And that's what I remember about Coralee. She believed that people should have equal rights, and she believed that people should have the assistance that they need, and was always rooting for people and giving them what they needed. We were glad to be part of her life. Toward the end of her days, we know that she kept how she was and the condition of her health kind of a secret. And we really didn't know, but she did that for her family because she loved them so much. And that's a true love right there, you know? So we love you, Coralee. That's all I could say. We'll see you at campfire. And that's it from the Screamans and Dismukes. Here's Mom.
That's pretty hard to follow. I had notes written down. But you know, we met the family while we were waiting to get into Pentwater. We had to go to some bug-filled lot, and there Fred was with no shirt on. Getting bit by mosquitoes. And then from every year thereon, we made the annual trip to Pentwater, sometimes in the fall too. And then we'd also go to Sleeping Bear Dunes. And Coralee did like to eat the burned hot dogs and marshmallows, and we got a chuckle out of that because we never ate that way. And then she fell asleep on a camping bench. Do you remember that at all, girls? and you know, our whole family remembers her. My children and my grandchildren, Darian and Ruben. I'm sorry. And then one year Dave and I decided to go to New Orleans. And so we asked Coralee to go with us. And we had the best time. And we went downtown and we ate beignets. And we saw the mimes. And we took a tour of the cemetery. And and then she was going to fly home because we were staying longer. And there I can still see her getting on the airplane, waving goodbye to us.
Thank you, Deb and Sharon. When the twins were in high school, parties after plays and football games were at the Anderson house. There was always a big pan of apple crisp and a vat of hot chocolate. Mama made a difference to those kids. Years later, when they would run into old friends, they would always greet her with a loud "Mom" and a big hug, always before they greeted Jody and Gina. Jody Praler is the third sister to Gina and Jody. She was invited to every outing and every holiday and was always there for the kids and Mama. Please come on up, Jody.
many names. Got to know her as Mama, Mom, Toady, Coralee, and finally, Aunt Mama, as I married her nephew, Phoebe. Kind of small world, but after knowing Jody and Gina since we were 15, to finally meet and officially sort of become part of the family after many years, even though I'd been part of the family for years before that. Many memories include drama club parties at her house, burnt cookies. I know we mentioned burnt food a couple times, camping at Pentwater. Those hot dogs weren't done until they were absolutely black. The popcorn kettle on the stove was, coated with that black oil and that made the best popcorn ever at the parties. Cookies at the Pontiac schools were known every now and then to be burnt, and apparently the students at the Pontiac schools didn't care for them that much, so they'd come up by the bagfuls to the Waterford schools and us drama kids, and we just ate those up. They'd be in a drawer in a bag, sitting there for days. Some of you might be appalled by this, but there'd just be this bag full of cookies and hands just going in, taking the cookies out. It was a different time then, but we enjoyed it and really got to know each other and love each other. There was always food, always love. Parties were wonderful. If somebody got a little out of hand, there might be a lecture on the front porch. I wouldn't know, I was never there. The summers in Pentwater, there was always room for one more in the camper. Just don't tell Dad. He just worked it in there. Ice cream was any time, and many of us were, chosen family, but we're all family. And that's family. As I got to meet and marry Lance, I got a note here from his mom, Carrie, who is Coralee's sister-in-law, that many years ago that there was a house up in Frankfurt that Lance's mom and dad lived in that was reported to be haunted. Coralee and her family visited there one summer. And Carrie remembers that she thinks that Gina and Jody might have been 5 or 6 years old. During the night, there were many strange noises in the house. The house had been rigged with many tricks, so it's just not to disappoint guests. The guests just couldn't figure out how much was, what the clanging and clumping around was. The house was way out in the country, and there are no houses around nor any street lights to really come up with an idea of what's going on. So the next day, after all these bumps and noises, Coralee and Fred packed up the family and headed back to their house in Pontiac. It was a very rainy and stormy afternoon. The Andersons were gone, Carrie remembers. Darkness fell, and the noises began again. This time it was the pranksters that were spooked. Lance and Tara were summoned to assist to find out the source of the noises. Nothing was found. The kids checked the attic, nothing had been moved. They looked for wet footprints, thinking Coralee and Fred had only driven to town and waited until dark to sneak back in and scare them again. But the floor was dry. After a couple hours passed, they thought about calling Pontiac to see if the family had gotten home. It was a few hour more drive from Frankfurt back to Pontiac. Ring, ring. Hello, Coralee answered. Oh, you made it home okay, we replied. We've been hearing a lot of noise and we can't explain what was causing it. We thought you might be teasing us. Wasn't us. We've been home for an hour or so. Well, after a few chuckles and a talk about a good weekend, we decided the house really was haunted. And that maybe there was just some fun and happy ghosts that were, could just stay and live with us. It was a week later that a book arrived in the mail. It was from Coralee. The title was It's Fun to Listen to the Sound and Scary of the Night, written by Charles Schultz. A book that stayed with us long after that year amongst all the ghosts. Yeah. We miss you very much, Coralee. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. We're starting to wrap up, but we have one more video from Corwin's choir. This one is called How Can I Keep From Singing? really grateful that all of us could be here together to remember Coralee. Try to spend some time around the campfire this summer, burn a few hot dogs and marshmallows, and spend time with people you love. Think of Toady and show kindness to those around you. Her memory will be kept alive through all of us. And always remember, you don't have to wait until sunset to eat your ice cream. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today.
Eat some ice cream.
Yes.